So it is January 3rd, 2026. It is 3:51 p.m. I am at one of the drop-in shelters in New York. I wanted to talk about survivor jealousy. Um, Naively, I didn't really ever think that that was a thing. They like to make sure that I don't have any quiet, but I never thought that that was a thing. Um, but I do understand how it can be a thing. Being a survivor of being targeted, you see how it stops every time I stop. It's really kind of amusing because, yeah, exactly. So I do know how being a targeted individual, surviving being targeted, we all go through different stages, different intensities. Um, obviously the intensity goes up as much more we fight it. And depending on who or what is targeting us, I I can see how, like if like before I realized I was being targeted and people had a story and it was like a difficult life or a traumatized life or, just struggles in general, whether they were, I didn't really think of the intensity of the struggles. I always just felt empathy. And as I got older and as I worked hard to get different places, and people would say stupid things like, "Oh, look how amazing I am." I'm like, I have straight A's. Oh, and this is one of the girls that was trying to date Sam in high school, Ala, and she did, and she broke his heart. She was so basic. It was just astonishing to me how much she thought so highly of herself. I remember she had a conversation, and I just hated being around her. Like her energy was just disgusting. But and I would walk away. I wouldn't say a thing to anyone. I wouldn't even look at her. And it sometimes it wasn't even about her. I would just walk away, and she'd be like, "I don't know what her problem is with me, sweetie. You're not even important enough to have a problem with." That's how much she was conceited. And I remember she had a conversation saying, "Oh, I'm so amazing. I work hard. I have a full-time job." No, at the time she had part-time. She's like, "I have a part-time job. I have straight A's in all my classes. I'm taking algebra. I'm taking English 50, which is beneath English 101, which is what she should have been at after she got out of high school." And I was looking at her like, and she was older. I think she and I were the same age. That's what it was. She and I were the same age. So she's boasting about how she's in English 50. I'm in English 101 honors. How she's in algebra. I was in calculus honors. How she was in uh, pre chem, and I was in chemistry honors and physics. And I was just listening to her like, wow, I'm glad you feel so highly about yourself, but you are nowhere in, because she was competing with me. That's how I felt. I was kind of, also competitive, but I didn't say anything. I let her talk. I never put her down, nothing. So I get it. When you see somebody else who's talking about their life story and you compete. And there's been people where I don't think I would have survived what they went through. You know, Miss Killian, my English teacher in my sophomore year of high school, she had like 3 or 4 or 5 miscarriages. She was trying for a child so hard, so many miscarriages, and she was so strong about it. And I remember getting all emotional. I remember one time when she was talking about it with me, because she talked to me several times about it. Very open. I had such respect for her. Very strong woman. And I cried, and I told her like I couldn't do that because to expect to give. Sorry, people are wandering around the door. It's a really small bathroom, But to expect to give life and give birth to a child that you've already named that isn't alive, I think would be very traumatizing. And I think she definitely lived through things that I hope I never experience. And I have the utmost respect for her. But in her circumstance, I would never want her story. I wouldn't want to go through that pain. You know, and if it got her attention and she got, books on, whatever, and made newspapers, why would I be jealous of her? That's the way I see it. Why? But I do understand how people can be like, well, why does she get attention? I survived similar things too. I can see how people can feel that way. But when you feel that way, you should question yourself. Why are you jealous of that person? Is it just because of a childish thing about attention? Why do you thrive on attention? Is there something you're missing in yourself? Why do you need as much attention as someone else? Why do you need more than that person? Why do you think that person doesn't deserve it? What about that person makes them not deserve it? These are questions you should ask yourself before you judge. Like I said, Angel was my biggest teacher. When he told me that I was doing something wrong and I denied it, and then he reset his boundary and said, no, you are. And I really sat and thought and realized I really was in the wrong. That's the first step, acknowledging when you're wrong. And then the next step is analyzing, where did you go wrong? And if you can't figure it out, maybe you should talk to the person that told you you were doing something wrong. So then maybe they can help you, guide you. Angel was my guide. If it wasn't for Angel, I probably wouldn't be who I am. I don't think it's completely DNA. I really was chaotic when I was with Angel. Emotionally, I was unstable. And even if it was dysfunctional, he taught me temperance. He taught me to monitor my emotions, to evaluate my emotions. And then I guess that's when nature took hold, and I really evaluated, like, do I really want to be this person? Do I like that? Do I want somebody to treat me that way? I wanted to bring that up.